Hey babe, how are you? What a beautiful day. What a fabulous, fantastic, amazing, delicious. What a great day. What a great day to wrap up week 9 of The Artist's Way. Something that I've noticed in my videos, and I'll start with what I love about this process of literally just creating anything, letting my artist do its thing, is that I'm watching these videos back and I'm noticing it's not criticism. I'm noticing that, man, there are things I want to clear up in the way I communicate to communicate more effectively. I think I love all my tangents. I love the things that I have to say, but it's been really interesting watching these videos back and just noticing, hey, this is something that I do, that I love, and I love myself. And I want to have a more impactful communication that really properly, or I shouldn't say properly, but that more accurately captures what I am seeking to communicate. It more accurately captures what I'm downloading in my mind's eye. So I have a bit of a different format for today. The goal for these Artist's Way videos was always just to catalog the process. I'm like, I don't want to edit any of these. Editing is so incredibly minimal. I just slap a sound bath in the back, which I absolutely love. And I just wanted it to be a raw and authentic experience. And I'm noticing even in my raw and authentic experience, man, I just want to kind of clear up the thought a bit more and make it stronger. So today I have bullets. I have actual things that I want to get through that are the most important for the chapter, to help, I guess, synthesize what I'm seeking to express. Last week, I didn't read the excerpt for week 9, so I'd like to do that. Week 9 is about recovering a sense of compassion. This week finds us facing the internal blocks to creativity. Let me repeat that. This week finds us facing the internal blocks to creativity. It may be tempting to abandon ship at this point. Don't. We'll explore and acknowledge the emotional difficulties that beset us in the past as we made creative efforts. We'll undertake healing the shame of past failures. We'll gain in compassion as we reparent the frightened artist child who yearns for creative accomplishment. We will learn tools to dismantle emotional blocks and support renewed risk. And one of the primary pillars that Julia talks about being a fuel source to our blocked artist is fear. Fear being fear. And it comes in a bunch of different ways. And she touches on how a lot of blocked artists will spend emotions in fear that end up obviously blocking their creative expression. That fear comes in a bunch of different ways. And sometimes blocked artists can be seen as lazy. That was something I reflect on when I was growing up, was, projections from other people being like, you're not that creative because you don't create stuff, right? And it's like, oh no, hearing that being a blocked artist does not equate to laziness feels very true to me, because I've never considered myself someone to be lazy, just the opposite in fact. But if I look back at all the things I didn't create, there's a good amount of, shame. I feel a sense of betrayal in that for my inner artist, but it's just been a reframing for me to remember I am not lazy, nor am I not creative. I'm just blocked. And so now whenever I think, oh, I'm not creating something, I'm just thinking, I'm just blocked. And the focus is therefore on unblocking myself. And she pretty much talks about when you're living through fear and you're blocking yourself through fear, you really just have to meet yourself where you're at. You have to meet yourself where you're at and take baby steps to build momentum. And that's something that's really important to me in a lot of different ways. The most tangible similarity that I can compare it to is in yoga, right? That's like a big foundation of my practice of yoga, as well as just meet yourself where you're at. Sometimes when I was starting my like physical fitness journey, literally my baby step was just driving to the gym. It was literally just me driving to the gym and sitting in the parking lot. Because I had an unlimited membership, I was like, you know what, if I just get really good at driving to the gym and sitting in the parking lot, one day I'm gonna go in. One day I'm gonna sit in the parking lot and just be like, okay, I might as well go in. And that's exactly what happened. And then one day I'm like, okay, all I have to do, I made it to the parking lot. I made it inside the door. I don't even have to work out. Once I go inside the doors, I could just do a lap around the gym because it was so intimidating to me. And eventually over time, I just kind of kept taking baby steps where I was like, I'm getting really good at doing laps around the gym, not even doing anything. And then I was like, I'll try this, machine that looks really interesting or blah, blah, blah. And then eventually I started taking yoga classes. And then I was like, oh, I really like this. I forgot how much I like this. This was years ago. And then eventually here I am now, like devoted to my yoga practice. So I really appreciated that. Just take small steps. One thing I really want to touch on with this specific section, topical section, is she's talking about fear and how sometimes a lot of the fear of the inner artist comes from conditional love from the parents. And this really hit hard for me, and I want to read it specifically because it was really impactful. Fear is the true name for what ails the blocked artist. It may be fear of failure or fear of success. Most frequently, it's fear of abandonment. This fear has roots in childhood reality. Most blocked artists try to become artists against their parents' good wishes or their parents' good judgment. For a youngster, this is quite the conflict. To go squarely against your parents' values means you'd better know what you're doing. You'd better not just be an artist. You better be a great artist if you're going to hurt your parents so much. Parents do act hurt when children rebel, and declaring oneself an artist is usually viewed by parents as an act of rebellion. Unfortunately, the view of an artist's life as an adolescent rebellion often lingers, making any act of art entail the risk of separation and the loss of loved ones, because artists still yearn for their creative goals and then they feel guilty. This guilt demands that they set goals for themselves right off the bat, that they must be great artists in order to justify this rebellion. Here's what I love about that is that obviously this really relates heavy to me, and I resonate with this because I've had that experience where pursuing artistry, it doesn't just feel like creative fun expression, it feels like rebellion, betrayal, and potentially like a threatening situation. And I think for a lot of other people, that threat is actually a lot more extreme, because my parents are very loving and they've given me so much in life, and I've still felt that threat of, in my mind's eye, oh my God, if I become an artist, my parents are gonna love me. And the only way that I can justify becoming an artist is by doing really well. So it set this huge expectation for me where it made it impossible for me to enjoy the little things, for me to enjoy the process, for me to take those baby steps. And ultimately, it's that dissonance. It's that dissonance between expectation and maybe where you're at right now that ends up creating dissatisfaction. that's really it. Expectation is the thief of joy. So that excerpt meant a lot to me. And it also was a reaffirmation for me to remind myself, pursuing artistry is not a threat. It's not a threat to me. It is not a threat to my love and the love that I can experience from friends and family. And as a matter of fact, it opens portals for me to be able to feel that love more splendidly. And something that I have also been simultaneously overcoming in this process of the artist way, I've been overcoming the concept of, oh, cool, I just lost my thought. I just lost my thought literally as soon as I was saying it. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Oh, I've been overcoming the fear of disappointing anyone. And I'm at varying stages with that, because I am very fearful of disappointing people and maybe my own failure, right? That's where that fear comes in, because again, I say I have to be a great artist in order to be an artist at all. And I recognize that there's an unrealistic expectation set on my inner child to express. And I've really been working on overcoming the fear of disappointing my parents. I'm freaking 34 years old and I still fear disappointing my parents. And I mean, I think a lot of us go through that fear in life. I think a lot of us carry that fear well beyond 34 years old. And that's something that I'm seeking to dissolve, because ultimately I feel the passion so strongly within me to create that right now I'm like, anyone who's disappointed in me in this process, and that includes myself, I feel so strongly about moving towards my passion and my creativity that it's worth the risk for me right now. Whereas there were other times in my life where it wasn't worth the risk, where I wasn't willing to sacrifice that safety. But right now I just feel it so strongly, and I know that, I know that if I don't do this, I'm going to be just very sad my entire life. Like, I will never know happiness. I mean, I will. Obviously, there's happiness and contentment in the present moment always. But I just feel so strongly like this is it. Like, this is what I need to do. And I want to give myself that space. I spent 34 years living in opposition to this creative expression. So I've given it the time, baby. Like, I've given it the time. Now I'm like, I need to do this for me. I need to. And if anyone is not on board, if anyone, in my life sees that as whatever they see it as, that's in opposition to how I feel about it, then I accept. I accept that you feel that way. But I'm still going, baby. Moving on. Enthusiasm. She marks the difference between discipline and enthusiasm. And this is actually something that I reflect on a lot, because I know there are a lot of productivity and self-development mentors and coaches on the internet. And I think a lot of them, I don't want to blanket this, but a lot of the advice around discipline comes from men. And let me go back on that, because I don't want to blanket it into men versus women. But when I think of discipline, I think of it as a very yang energy, a very masculine energy, a very pointed energy. To me, discipline is just put your head down, just grind, just do what you got to do. Completely forget about your emotions, forget about what's going on, and you just put your head down, you just you put in, you put out, and I think that's really helpful for a lot of people. But for me, I've always had a hard time with it because there was like no joy. I'm like, I need to be disciplined. And then if I'm not, it's like, oh my God, I'm not disciplined enough. And I'm like, gosh, can I have fun now? Like, where's the fun in that? And it felt very rigid. It felt like discipline to me felt like giving myself a bunch of goals, really high expectations. And I just never felt like I was meeting it whenever I've approached things from the framework of discipline. And Julia, she talks about approaching things with enthusiasm over discipline, which I love this concept because she says enthusiasm from the Greek means filled with God, which hits so hard because when you approach things from a place of fun, it's like, whoa, no, I want to do this. Like, I'm so excited. And surprisingly enough, the discipline comes, or it can seem like discipline to people when you approach something with fun because you're like, I'm having a great time. I want to express, like, I want to share. It can look like you're very committed. Not it can look like you are very committed to bringing that and experiencing that and sharing that. And other people can see that as discipline. They can see it as, oh, they're really disciplined because they keep doing this every single day. And I think turning it on its head and calling it enthusiasm makes it so much more enjoyable and tangible for me. And there was a video a while ago. I hope this girl is doing so well. I hope she is thriving. I hope she is glowing from the inside out and outside in. Because she shared something on TikTok about reframing discipline into devotion. What are you devoting yourself to? And there's like such a nuanced difference between those two words. You could argue that they're two sides of the same coin, this concept of devotion. And to me, devotion is more of like a feminine energy. Again, not to dichotomize because it doesn't really matter, but it gives me more of a yin energy where I ask myself, what am I devoting myself to? And devotion to me is like discipline from a place of love. And it's the in-between, I would say, between enthusiasm and discipline. If there is a spectrum, I feel like it's right in between there. And I love the idea of taking enthusiasm because sometimes, and we'll get into it a bit later, I feel like enthusiasm can be fleeting for me. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm so excited. And then the enthusiasm will leave me. Whereas when I reframe it from a place of devotion, it still has enthusiasm in it. It still has the essence of, you love this. Like, you love this. And you're just bringing consistency and you're bringing your heart and you're pouring your heart out to devoting yourself to this creative act. Because enthusiasm can be fleeting for me. And that's where we get into creative U-turns. She starts talking about creative U-turns, how a blocked artist will sometimes sabotage themselves. And one example that she uses that resonates really hard is that sometimes an artistic U-turn will come with indifference. And that happens to me a lot. I will be very enthusiastic about a project. I'll be like, yes, I have the vision. I've got it all in there. And then something happens. I don't know what. I will block. And then I will be indifferent. And I'll be like, oh, that idea kind of sucked. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care anymore. And then I lose the enthusiasm for it. So that's why I say, okay, I need to be devoted. Like, I know I had the enthusiasm. And me hearing on here, and she's mentioned it quite a few times before, is this idea of self-sabotage, how sometimes this indifference, it isn't so much that the project is dead or the creative expression is dead. Sometimes it is, who knows? But really that indifference is a clear marker of being blocked. And so I've kind of been asking myself, like, what are ways that my blockedness me being blocked? What are ways that it's manifesting? Indifference is a big one. I mean, straight up fear. I will also distract myself. Like this week, I've been distracting myself with strategy over just creating. Literally just creating. Sometimes I will literally distract myself and be like, nope, I have to have it all figured out in here first before I can express anything. And that's really just me blocking myself, or me, I shouldn't say blocking myself, but it's an expression of being blocked. Yeah. A really powerful exercise that she expresses or she shares is, wait, I'm so sorry. Let me go back into the creative U-turns and this concept of fear. Because she talks about your inner child is kind of like a skittish horse. She's like, your inner child is a skittish horse, and you, the greater consciousness of you, is your creative jockey. You're just coaxing, calming the horse. It's like your creative artist is on fight or flight when that fear comes in, and it's like, oh my God, like the fear of abandonment, the fear of all the things, like, and so the greater consciousness, what our responsibility is as artists is to gently coax that down and to remind ourselves and say, whoa, whoa, Nessie. To gently coax ourselves down and to calm ourselves and to remind ourselves we are safe, we are okay, we are free to express all of these things, to finish the course, to see that project to completion. And I feel like every time that I've kind of bulldoze is too strong of a word, but every time that I have pushed past my blockedness, I pushed past it, and I've allowed myself to gently subside the fear that was preventing me from finishing. Every time that I've finished, I've felt really grateful to myself, and I felt grateful that I finished. Not even how good or how bad it was, because that's like a totally different thing, but I just felt super grateful to finish. Okay. Last piece. She has a series of prompts for blasting through blocks, and you can write them about any project you're working on, really. She just asks you what any resentments, angers do you have about this? What fears do you have about this? She's like, anything else? Anything you forgot? Any little thing. And then to ask yourself, what do you stand to gain by not doing X, Y, and Z? And then wrapping it up with making a deal with the divine creator, saying, I'll take care of the quantity, you take care of the quality. This shit worked. Let me tell you something. This shit worked. I did it for yoga last week. I was feeling very angry, frustrated. I felt like, I've been putting so much fucking time into this. And, I know I spoke in last week's video about some of the feedback that I received that was less than stellar. And I just felt really angry about it, frankly, because I've been putting every ounce of my spare time into teaching yoga, because this is a creative expression for me that is really authentic and meaningful, that I want people to have an experience that resonates with them. It isn't just about like Warrior A to me. It isn't so much about the flow, though I do love a juicy flow. I love a good flow. It really is a creative expression that I want to use, or I hope is a pathway to people connecting with their inner divine. And so after years, I just hit over 100 hours of teaching yoga. That doesn't include all the hours that I've spent training, all of the different workshops I've gone to, all the times that I personally have practiced. This is like years that I've been investing pretty much all of my spare time into. And I was very resentful to hear, oh, it's just not good enough. It's just not living up to the expectation of what we're seeking to achieve here. And that wasn't the verbiage. I'm being very harsh because that's how I took that feedback in my soul. But I was angry about that situation. And I did this journal prompt. I did the journal prompt and I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm doing the journal prompt. And immediately the studio was like, hey, we really want you to take on these 2 classes, which for at least a year, I've been wanting one extra class, one more class. And it finally happened where I got not 1, but 2 classes, maybe like 2.5, because it's going to be changing. But yeah, it was really amazing. It was amazing to allow myself, and I felt the release where I was like, you know what, I'm holding on to all this shit and I have to come up with a new flow and theme and message this week. And so long as I'm holding on to this shit, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to create an experience that is meaningful and fulfilling and lives up to what I'm seeking to achieve. So I'm going to express all this. I'm going to write all this down, and it really helped, because then this past weekend I had one of the best classes I've ever had. And one of the owners took my class and she was like, girl, I don't know what happened between now and, when you received that feedback last, but you kind of ate. She didn't use those words. I'm using those words. She was like, girl, you ate. But yeah, and then that was a really good feeling because I prayed beforehand. And I said, God, I am showing up. I'm showing up. I'm working on the quantity. Please work on the quality. Help me, help whoever needs to be helped. And I'm really, really happy with that experience. Can you believe it? End of video. My shortest one yet. I don't think it is. But week 10, let's go for it, baby. Week 10 is recovering a sense of self-protection. This week, we explore the perils that can ambush us on our creative path. Because creativity is a spiritual issue, many of the perils are spiritual perils. In the essays, tasks, and exercises of this week, we search out the toxic patterns we cling to that block our creative flow. Ooh, girl. Oh, I think I need this one. I think this one's going to be good. Okay. Looking forward to it. See you next week.